Hello, and welcome back to Convey with Caroline, the podcast where every story becomes your path to powerful communication and personal growth. I'm your host, Caroline Giro. Welcome to episode 6, where we discuss leveraging artificial intelligence and digital tools in communication. Working smarter, not harder. In our last episode, we explored how empathy and emotional intelligence can transform the way we connect with others. Today, we are shifting gears a bit to discuss something that also impacts our effectiveness in communication and can help us find our voice, leveraging AI and digital tools. Whether you're a small business owner, a team leader, or someone looking to streamline your personal brand, AI-powered tools can help you work smarter, not harder. If you've ever wondered how to save time drafting emails, writing proposals, sharpening your public speaking, or organizing your digital life in a more efficient way, well, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. Let me take you back in time for a moment to a world where cameras used film. I don't know if any of you remember those days. Right now, everybody has a camera in their phone. We use digital cameras, but there was a time where we were very excited every time we had an event. And we'd have a camera and then we'd load it with a roll of film. And I remember, I think it used to come in multiples of 12, 24, something like that. And then we'd wait for the day and then you'd have the manual camera, if you were lucky, that is. I remember having my first camera when I was in campus because I was a communication student. And my parents got me this really nice camera, Kodak camera. And I'd get film and load the film, the Kodak film. And then you'd take your shots, and as you took them, there was no way of telling in real time whether your picture was going to be a good one or not. But we tried to adjust our shutter speed and our aperture and all those nice things to try and ensure that we have a really good image. And then we'd take the roll and take it to the photo studio. And we'd wait for 2 weeks, 14 whole days to come collect your pictures and see how they turned out. And more often than not, it was really rare to get 24 out of 24 photos. You probably maybe get 18 because maybe six of them had overexposure or something like that. And you'd get so excited, take them back to your friends or take them back to your family, whatever the case. And you're so excited to look at the pictures one by one. It was a different era where you'd be able to look at, you'd not be able to take 50 shots just to try and get one good one. You'd have to take one shot and keep moving. So it had to be really good. So at that time, that was the era when Kodak was a household name. And Kodak was a company that was once the giant of the photography world, dominating, camera and film sales. But when the digital cameras came about, which offered instant previews and the ability to delete and retake shots on the spot, Kodak was left behind. But actually what is very interesting about Kodak was initially, they are the ones who had invented one of the earlier digital cameras. But they famously or infamously hesitated to fully embrace it, fearing it would cannibalize their film business. And as digital cameras and later smartphones came about and soared in popularity, Kodak found itself behind the curve. The result? The missed opportunity led to the digital revolution and a significant decline in their market share. So the world has moved on now to faster, more efficient way of capturing memories, and everybody, from even young children, are walking around with a camera in their back pocket. And that is how the speed and convenience that digital technology has provided in that one particular space. From when we'd go and manually develop our film cameras. And we see this in other industries as well. That's just one example. When we look even post office, for example, and getting our mail. Just 20 years ago, I remember when I was in high school, at the time, we'd write letters to our parents, to our family members, to our friends, but you do it the old-fashioned way. So everybody, when you go to school term, in the beginning of the term, you had to have a writing pad, a letter writing pad. I don't know whether the Gen Z know what that is, but we used to buy some stationery that used to come like a writing pad, which has about 50 or 100 pages, decorated, looking really nice, decorated writing piece of paper, not a plain piece of paper, so that when the person receives your letter, it's well decorated. And then you'd have a writing pad and you'd buy envelopes and you'd buy stamps before you'd go to boarding school. And then you'd write your letter, decorate it, put it in an envelope, seal your envelope, attach some stamps, and then we'd take it to our matron for posting. And it would go maybe 2-3 weeks before you got a response. And we'd eagerly wait for this response. So the whole sending the message and receiving a feedback would be maybe, a total of a whole entire month. for you to get that communication out there. The other type of communication I had when we were in high school was the phone booth. We had a phone booth where you'd go and put coins inside and you'd be able to call home. But you didn't have so much money, so you had to keep your conversation really short. I was fortunate that we had a landline at home, but that meant I could only call in the morning, very early in the morning before my parents left the house, or in the evening, because if you call during the day, there's nobody to pick up the landline at home. Those were interesting times, but now they're outdated. If we look into how fast the world is evolving, it means that if you do not evolve alongside with it, you're left behind. Communication has really changed from the early days of even smoke signals to where we are today. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of using AI for communication, let's take a quick look at where AI actually comes from. The concept of artificial intelligence dates back to the 1950s when computer scientists began asking, can machines learn or imitate human intelligence? That's where it all began. So early pioneers like Alan Turing and John McCarthy, they laid the groundwork. But it's only in the recent decades, thanks to a lot of growth in the computing world and the availability of massive data sets, that AI has really taken off. We're living in an age of the productivity revolution, where there is more data being generated than ever before. Data is being generated and processed on a large scale. We have countless emails, books, publications, content, videos, social media posts, online transactions, sensor readings happening globally at any given moment. There's a mountain of information and it's humanly impossible to filter or analyze it all manually. When I did my first thesis, when I finished my first undergraduate degree, we had to go out there and do our projects. And your project was based, mostly you do your research by reading, available textbooks and available paperwork that was there within your niche. And then now you'd go and do your actual physical research. But today, I can imagine the tough time that students are having with all the available publications. I mean, who can read them all? The data is increasing exponentially, and it is impossible for anybody to sit down and work on it all by themselves. In this fast-paced environment, AI tools can serve as our digital helpers. They help us to sift through these impossible mountains of data and help us to automate tasks and free us to explore our creative, empathetic aspects of communication that machines cannot replicate. So I've given some of the examples that we've moved in. I've given the example of the cameras. We also have the example of the mail versus email, the telephone booths versus the smartphones. Even faxes. I know young people are like, but they know what a fax is. I know young people don't even know what a fax machine is. But we've really come a long way from the squealing dial-up of the fax machine, And now we have apps that let us share files, photos, and even voice notes instantly at the same time. I remember the first days when I think this was in the early 2000s when the internet connection used to be dialed in. And you'd actually have to dial and dial and dial, to try looking for a connection. It was really a different time. But things have changed and we're now in a fast-moving world. So what's the connection between all these changes and the age of AI? At the core, it's the power of adapting to new tools rather than resisting them. We risk getting left behind if we cling to methods that no longer meet current demands. But however, even as we talk about leveraging AI and digital tools, remember we are not replacing competency or skill set in the things that we do. In the example I gave of the cameras and the film, moving today in the digital world, despite the fact that all of us have phones that have cameras in them, still it has not put photographers or videographers out of market, because it still requires a particular skill set to ensure that you have the perfect exposure, perfect speed, perfect lighting, color grading and all that. So professionals are still required, even though we all have cameras. So similarly, when it comes to use artificial intelligence, we cannot underscore the importance of having the skill first. When the first computers came and we were being trained on how to use them, we used to be taught the concept of GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. And we used to be told that this computer is not a magician. It's only able to help you to the extent to which you're able to give it good input. So if you give it rubbish, then the output when you print your work out is rubbish. It was a way of conditioning us not to see it as a magic box, And I think the same applies to AI. Garbage in, garbage out. If you give a rubbish prompt, you give a rubbish output. Or at a bare minimum, even though it's not rubbish, it is not differentiated from anybody else. Like you're just creating another, thing that is filling the earth that is similar. So we still require skill set and we still require competency when we are talking about artificial intelligence. So what are some of the key benefits of AI and digital tools in communication? 1, efficiency. It automates repetitive tasks so you can dedicate time to meaningful dialogue. So you're writing something, you're writing maybe a proposal, or you're writing a script, or you're writing something that has a replicable model. If you do the first one really, really well, and you put a lot of effort in research and putting it together, then you're able to use artificial intelligence tool and tell it replicate the same format, the same level of research to this other thing, and you're able to replicate. So that makes it efficient. When you have apps for even making your calendar or being able to put your tasks together, or even for generating images, it helps you to automate repetitive tasks. Number 2, it helps you to maintain consistency, maintain a steady tone and style across multiple platforms or even mediums. You can choose a style. Before, it was quite expensive to keep purchasing stock images for people who are doing maybe things to do with design. Now you're able to use artificial intelligence to generate your own images, and you can even get a character and get that character to do several different things. So you're able to maintain the style of the character and get this character to do a different thing the next week, the next month, the next year, and so forth. So you're able to maintain a consistent style, and it is easier to get what you're looking for. Number 3, clarity. Use data-driven feedback, for example, speech analysis, to spot areas of improvement and streamline your message. So this can happen in voice, in speech, in video, even in text generation, and you're able to improve. Number 4, scalability. I've already mentioned an example of this, where you're able to collaborate with more people, handle larger audiences, or produce content faster without sacrificing on quality. So just as Kodak needed to adapt to digital photography or risk getting left behind, we can use AI and digital platform to address these areas of communication that bog us most down. When we are trying to send out our messages, for content creators especially, they grapple with a lot of communication aspects at the same time. They grapple with the message, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to package it? If there's going to be video format, voice format, text format, images, posters, video outlet. So this allows you to be able to focus on the parts that truly matter and need to be done by a human being, and then you're able to automate other parts of it. And even as we proceed with this discussion about embracing new methods and strategies, it reminds me of another biblical figure who, though he didn't have artificial intelligence at his disposal, exemplified critical thinking and using tools. And this character is Nehemiah, who is found in the Old Testament. And the book of Nehemiah tells us the story of how Nehemiah and the people built the walls of Jerusalem again. And the people who lived near Jerusalem did not want the Jews to build the city again. They opposed the Jews and they tried to stop their work. But with God's help, Nehemiah and his team were able to finish the job in 52 days. How does this tie into what we're talking about today? Nehemiah knew that rebuilding wasn't just a matter of physical labor. He knew it required careful planning, delegation, coordinated efforts, and utilizing tools at his disposal. So Nehemiah, number 1, assessed the situation. He inspected the walls at night, gathering intel before forming a plan. That goes towards strategic planning. 2, he organized his resources. He assigned specific sections of the wall to different families, ensuring tasks were clearly defined. When we use artificial intelligence, we are able to see what to assign where. With text generation prompts like ChatGPT, we are able to build, for example, in our proposal. And number 3, he used practical tools and security measures. The people built with one hand and held a sword in another, showing a balance of productivity and production. Showing a balance of productivity and protection. While Nehemiah did not have Slack, Trello, or ChatGPT, his story shows that he had the principle of using the right tools and a clear system to drastically improve efficiency and effectiveness. He saw a problem, leveraged on available resources, and orchestrated a solution that maximized each person's contribution. So that's the way it is with AI. It is learning. Right now we have a lot of artificial intelligence tools in very many spheres. So you need to check and say, what is it that I am doing? Because nowadays time is a very critical resource that you have. And you cannot spend your entire day sifting through data, your entire day doing things that artificial intelligence can help you with. What in your life are you spending massive amounts of time doing that you're not aware that there's an artificial intelligence tool that can help you? Can you please write down something that you feel requires some assistance, and then you're able to research more and find out what can assist you? Now, let's move from concept to application. I want to give you 5 actionable ways to integrate artificial intelligence and digital tools into your communication routine. 1, AI-powered writing assistance. What does this mean? It means that you use tools like ChatGPT, Grammarly, or Notion AI to help brainstorm ideas, refine your syntax, or generate outlines. There's a lot of text generative artificial intelligence tools, and these are only some of them. How you can implement this is by using AI to draft the first draft of your emails, blog posts, or presentation, and then you can now edit in your personal voice. Okay? So think of AI as your writing intern. It provides a starting point, but you need to provide the heart and the final polish. Number 2, speech and presentation analysis. You can use artificial apps like Yodlee or Ori to analyze your tone, pacing, and filler words to offer real-time feedback, especially ahead of your presentation, ahead of your speech, ahead of your YouTube video, whatever it is. This can give you real-time feedback. And how can you implement this? You can record yourself on your phone rehearsing a pitch or a presentation, then pass it through the app, review the app suggestion for clear, more engaging delivery, and then apply the suggestions for a better finish. Then practice until you get refined at it. So remember, even Nehemiah likely practiced how he'd rally the people. So modern AI speeds up our learning curve for public speaking. Number 3, digital collaboration platforms. What does this mean? It means using systems like Slack, Microsoft Teams, or Trello to streamline group communication and project management. How do you implement this? Set up channels or boards for specific projects, and then assign each team member a clear demarcation. This is also used even when on platforms like Canva, where you're doing design work and you're able to create a team and work on the team project together. Create clear guidelines on communication and file sharing for your team. And while everyone knows where to share updates, we now reduce chaos and allow real conversations to thrive. 4, automated scheduling and email tools. What does this mean? It means using tools like Calendly or Mixmax to automate meeting scheduling, while AI-based email responders prioritize or even draft your email responses. How do you implement this? You can have your clients or your leads or team members to pick up meeting times from your real-time availability. Let AI highlight urgent emails or suggest potential responses, right? And remember, adoption often leads to innovation. Same goes for automated email tools. Number 5, mindful integration and limits. What does this mean? Technology burnout is real. So please adopt AI tools thoughtfully. How do you implement this? Ensure you choose 1 or 2 areas where you need the most support. For example, writing, scheduling, or data analysis, and start there. Set periodic no-tech times to maintain your personal creativity and spiritual grounding. If you overdo the AI, then you have no time to even generate creative ideas. Remember, there's a part that cannot be outsourced to AI, like I said. Yeah? Remember, the best tools augment human connection, they don't replace it. Now, I'd like to give you the challenge for the week. I'd like to challenge you to pick 1 digital tool, either writing AI, speech analysis, collaboration apps, or scheduling software, and experiment with it for 1 week. Then post your experience in our Convey with Caroline online community. Did it free up your time? Did it improve your messaging? What surprised you the most? Tell us. By embracing AI wisely, we follow in the footsteps of resourceful leaders, and we maximize our tools so that we can focus on vision, strategy, and empathetic dialogue. Remember, AI is here to free up your time. So use your free time wisely to beef up on your message. As we wrap up on episode 6, leveraging AI and digital tools in communication, remember that technology is meant to serve your higher goals, not overshadow them. Digital tools should streamline the process so that we can focus on the people. If you found today's discussion helpful, please subscribe and share this podcast with someone who might be feeling overwhelmed by communication demands. You never know, an AI-based tool might be the jumpstart they need. So until next time, remember the world needs your voice, enhanced and multiplied by the right tools, both in how we communicate and in the technology we harness. Let's remember to convey excellence.